Imagine a being so powerful that 1,000,000 souls are sacrificed daily just to keep him barely alive. A figure so revered that quadrillions worship him as a god, despite the fact that he despised religion and fought to destroy it. The God Emperor of mankind sits immobile upon the golden throne, trapped between life and death for over 10,000 years, holding together a crumbling Imperium through sheer force of will. He is humanity's greatest hope and its most tragic failure, a contradiction that defines the entire Warhammer 40,000 universe. Who was this being before he became a corpse god? What made him undertake the Great Crusade? And could he actually be dying or evolving into something far worse? Today, we're exploring the complete story of the Master of Mankind, from his mysterious origins in ancient Terra to his current state as the Imperium's dying god. Let's dive into. If you're new to Warhammer 40K, here's what you need to know. The Emperor of Mankind is a central figure of the entire setting, a perpetual being who has guided humanity for millennia and founded the Imperium of Man, the galaxy-spanning empire that's home to quadrillions of humans. The year is now M42, the 42nd millennium, roughly 38,000 years in our future. The Emperor has been entombed on the Golden Throne since M31, following a catastrophic civil war called the Horus Heresy. The Golden Throne is a life support system combined with psychic amplifier, located in the Imperial Palace on Terra, our Earth. It keeps the Emperor's broken body alive while his psychic might powers the Astronomicon, a psychic beacon that allows faster-than-light travel through the warp. The warp is essentially a hell dimension of psychic energy, populated by chaos gods and demons. Without the Emperor, the Astronomicon fails, humanity's ships become lost, and the Imperium collapses. Everything in Warhammer 40K traces back to him. He is the reason Imperium exists, and the reason it's slowly dying. The Emperor's origins remain shrouded in mystery, even to himself in some accounts. According to the most widely accepted lore, he was born around 8000 BC in ancient Anatolia, in what we recognize as Turkey. But he wasn't born as a single individual. He was created in humanity's prehistoric era. Psychers, humans with psychic powers, were rare but existed. A cabal of these ancient shamans recognized that humanity faced extinction from predators, both physical and spiritual. They enacted a desperate ritual, simultaneously committing suicide and reincarnating their collective souls into a single being. This being would be the Emperor, a perpetual, someone who cannot age and who reincarnates if killed. He possessed psychic power beyond measure and a singular purpose: ensure humanity's survival and evolution. For nearly 40,000 years, the Emperor walked among humanity in secret. He has been many figures throughout history. Some believe he was various kings, generals, and prophets, though he's never confirmed this. He guided humanity through its disasters and triumphs, always hidden, always watching. He wore countless faces and lived countless lives. Everything changed during the Age of Strife, beginning around M25. Humanity had colonized the galaxy, connected by stable warp travel. Then disaster struck. The birth of Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess, created warp storms that isolated human worlds for 5,000 years. Terra itself descended into barbarism. Techno-barbarian warlords carved up the planet with armies equipped with Dark Age technology. Radiation wars turned vast stretches into wastelands. Mutants and psychers ran rampant. The Emperor decided the time for hiding had ended. Humanity needed him, and he would reshape the species itself. Around M29, the Emperor emerged from hiding and began the Unification Wars. He didn't simply conquer Terra. He transformed it. From his stronghold beneath the Himalayan mountains, he deployed Thunder Warriors, the prototype super soldiers who inspire the later Space Marines. These warriors were brutal, unstable, but devastatingly effective. Did you know the Emperor personally led armies in this era? He wasn't just a distant ruler. He fought on the front lines, a golden giant wielding both sword and psychic fire. Chronicles speak of him incinerating entire armies with thought, negotiating the surrender of nations with his mere presence, and rewriting the loyalties of warlords with subtle psychic influence. But the unification wasn't just military conquest. The Emperor made a pilgrimage to Mars and forged the Treaty of Olympus with the Mechanicum, the tech priests who worshipped the machine god. This alliance was crucial. Mars provided the industrial might the Emperor needed. Interestingly, the Emperor allowed Mechanicum to keep their religion, even though he despised faith. This pragmatism would define his rule. Ideals were important, but survival came first. BYM 30. Terra was united under the Emperor's rule. He immediately began his greatest project, the Primarchs, using his own genetic material and knowledge forbidden even to him without bargaining with the Chaos Gods, though accounts differ on whether this bargain was willing or deception. He created 20 superhuman sons. Each was designed to excel in different aspects of warfare and leadership. They were intended to be his generals in the Great Crusade to reunite humanity. Then catastrophe struck. The Chaos Gods, recognizing the threat the Primarchs posed, scattered the infant Primarchs across the galaxy through the warp. The Emperor's greatest creations were stolen before he could even name them. Rather than despair, he adapted, using the Primarch genetic template. He created the Space Marine Legions, the Adeptus Astartes, and began the Great Crusade anyway. He would find his sons while conquering the galaxy. Little did he know that this theft would plant the seeds of the Imperium's greatest catastrophe. The Emperor's vision for humanity wasn't just about territory. It was ideological warfare. He proclaimed the Imperial truth. There are no gods, only aliens and psychic phenomena that primitive minds mistake for divinity. Religion, he declared, had held humanity back for millennia. Superstition must yield to reason, science, and empirical truth. This wasn't simply atheism, it was militant secularism. The Emperor believed that faith in gods empowered the Chaos Gods in a warp, as human belief and emotion literally fed those entities. By eliminating religion, he hoped to starve chaos itself. Imagine being a space marine, burning temples not out of cruelty, but because your father figure genuinely believed saving those people required destroying their faith. The irony, of course, is that the Emperor himself possessed godlike power, performed miracles, and demanded absolute loyalty. He denied his own divinity while acting divine. As the Great Crusade progressed, the Emperor found his sons. Horus was the first, discovered on the feral world of Chthoniya. The Emperor's reunion with each Primarch was unique. Some, like Guilliman of Makridge, had built civilizations and welcomed their father with open arms. Others, like Ongron of Nysiria, were broken, enslaved, embittered. Here's a darker truth. The Emperor didn't save all of them equally. When he found Ongron leading a slave rebellion, the Primarch was surrounded by enemies and fighting alongside his closest companions. Ongron begged the Emperor to save his brothers and sisters in arms. The Emperor teleported Ongron away alone, leaving his comrade to die, because teleporting a few dozen people wasn't efficient use of resources. This decision would haunt Ongron and contributed to his eventual fall to chaos. It revealed something crucial about the Emperor. He could be ruthlessly practical, even cruel, in pursuit of his grand vision. What made the Emperor so formidable? His psychic abilities existed on a scale almost incomprehensible. He could biomancy, reshape flesh and genetics at will. He created the Primarchs and Space Marines through this power combined with science. He could heal or harm with a thought. Telepathy. Read and rewrite minds. During the Horus Heresy, he dominated the minds of word-bearers, space marines, and forced them to kneel despite their hatred of him. Telekinesis. Move objects with his mind. Chronicles describe him hurling tanks and collapsing fortresses. Pyromancy. He wielded flames that could burn demons and destroy souls, not just bodies. Precognition. He could see possible futures, though the warp's nature meant these visions weren't certain. But perhaps his most terrifying ability was his presence. People describe him differently. Each sees what they expect or what the Emperor wants them to see. A priest might see a holy figure. A general sees a perfect warrior. A scientist sees pure reason incarnate. This suggests the Emperor could manipulate perception itself, appearing as whatever would be most effective. Was anyone truly seeing the real him? Here's something many overlook. The Emperor's true great work wasn't Crusade. It was the Webway Project. After conquering much of the galaxy, the Emperor returned to Terra around 005 M31 and secluded himself in his dungeons beneath the Imperial Palace. His sons were confused. The galaxy wasn't fully conquered. Why abandon Crusade? The Emperor was building a gate into the Webway, an ancient network of tunnels through space created by the Eldar. If humanity could access the Webway, they wouldn't need the warp for travel. No more ships lost to demons. No more reliance on navigators. Humanity would be safe from chaos forever. It was brilliant, ambitious, and absolutely necessary, but it required his constant attention. Every moment spent maintaining the Webway Gate was a moment away from his sons. He left the Crusade in the hands of Horus, his most beloved son, and trusted his Primarchs to finish what he'd started. This decision would prove catastrophic. By removing himself from the Crusade, he created a vacuum. His sons felt abandoned. Horus felt the weight of an impossible burden. And in the shadows, chaos whispered lies point one critical moment reveals the Emperor's flaws. The Council of Nicaea. Two of his Primarchs, Magnus the Red and Mordorion, disagreed violently about psychers and sorcery in the legions. The Emperor convened a great council to settle the matter. After hearing arguments, he ruled against Magnus, banning sorcery and restricting psychic powers among the legions. Magnus, who had dedicated his life to understanding the warp and believed he could control it safely, was devastated. His entire legion's purpose was undermined. Worse still, when Magnus later discovered Horus's betrayal and used sorcery to warn the Emperor, he accidentally shattered the Webway Gate. The Emperor's dream died in that moment. Instead of thanking Magnus for the warning, the Emperor dispatched Leman Russ and the Space Wolves to arrest Magnus. Due to miscommunication or deliberate corruption by chaos, Russ attacked Prospero, Magnus' homeworld, and destroyed it. Magnus' legion was shattered, and the Primarchs fled to the warp, eventually swearing allegiance to Tsench. The Emperor's rigid ruling and poor communication with his sons directly created another traitor. The Horus Heresy began when the Chaos Gods corrupted War Master Horus through a combination of visions, lies, and appealing to his pride. Horus had conquered the galaxy for his father, only to watch the Emperor abandon the Crusade and return to Terra. Chaos showed Horus a future where he was forgotten while the Emperor was worshipped as a god, the very thing the Emperor claimed to oppose. Half the legions turned traitor. The galaxy burned in civil war for 7 years. Brother fought brother. Primarchs killed Primarchs. And throughout it all, the Emperor remained on Terra, desperately holding shut the Webway Gate that Magnus had shattered. Demons poured through the breach, and only the Emperor's constant psychic effort prevented Terra itself from becoming a demon world. Imagine the Emperor's position, his dream destroyed, his sons killing each other, and unable to leave Terra, because doing so would doom humanity instantly. He was trapped. The heresy culminated in the Siege of Terra. Horus brought his traitor legions to humanity's homeworld and besieged the Imperial palace. The fighting was apocalyptic. Billions died. The palace walls, built to withstand any assault, crumbled. Titans walked. Demons manifested in reality. Then Horus made a critical error. His ship, the Vengeful Spirit, lowered its shields. Accounts differ on why. Some say it was a moment of doubt. Others that Horus deliberately invited his father aboard for a final confrontation. The Emperor, along with his custodians and several others, teleported directly into the ship. What happened next is the most significant moment in 40K history. The Emperor confronted Horus in single combat. But this wasn't the son he'd found on Chthoniya. Horus had become a vessel for all four Chaos gods, bloated with warp power. The duel was brutal. Horus was winning. Here's the dark truth. The Emperor held back. He still loved Horus. He still hoped to redeem his favorite son. Even as Horus struck him down, even as the Emperor's body was broken, he couldn't bring himself to destroy Horus completely. Then Horus killed a loyal soldier, either a custodian, a space marine, or an Imperial army soldier, depending on the account, who stood between them. This ordinary human showed more courage than Horus had shown honor. In that moment, the Emperor understood. Horus was truly gone. Nothing remained worth saving. The Emperor unleashed his full psychic might. He didn't just kill Horus. He annihilated his soul completely. Not even the Chaos gods could resurrect him. Horus simply ceased to exist at every level reality. But the effort and the wounds Horus had inflicted left the Emperor mortally wounded. His body shattered beyond even his regenerative abilities. Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, found his father dying. The Emperor's last command was clear. Place him on the Golden Throne. The device had been built for the Webway Project, but it could sustain his life and allow his psychic power to continue guiding the Astronomicon. For over 10,000 years, the Emperor has sat there. His physical body is a desiccated corpse kept animated by the most advanced technology humanity possesses. 1,000 psychers are sacrificed daily to feed his psychic presence. Their souls consumed to fuel the light he shines in the warp. He cannot speak, cannot move, cannot even die. He is trapped between life and death, consciousness and oblivion, endlessly suffering to keep humanity alive. In M42, the Emperor's situation has become critical. The Golden Throne is failing. The Adeptus Mechanicus cannot repair it. The technology is beyond even their understanding. Some estimates suggest the throne has mere centuries left before final failure. When it fails, terror becomes a new eye of terror, and humanity loses the Astronomicon forever. Yet something is changing. Across the Imperium, miracles occur with increasing frequency. Saints manifest. The faithful claim they hear the Emperor's voice. Living saints, like Celestine, display powers that seem to come from the Emperor himself. Guilliman, the only Primarch to return in M42, spoke with his father and emerged horrified by what he saw, though he refuses to explain why. Here's where things get controversial. Some in the community theorize that the Emperor isn't dying, he's transforming. 10,000 years of worship by quadrillions of humans, all that faith pouring into the warp, might be creating a fifth Chaos god. The Emperor could become the Dark King, a god of order and tyranny, just as powerful and terrible as the Chaos gods he fought against. This theory suggests that if the Emperor truly dies or the Golden Throne fails, he might reincarnate not as the being he was, but as something far worse or far more powerful. The Imperial cult, which worships him as a god despite his hatred of religion, might have created the very thing he opposed. The ultimate irony of Warhammer 40K. Humanity's savior becomes its doom to the power of faith itself. The Great Rift, a massive warp storm that split the galaxy in two, has changed everything. The Astronomican's light doesn't reach beyond it. Half the Imperium is isolated, yet the Emperor's power seems to have grown stronger in response. Guilliman's Indomitus Crusade, supported by what some call the Emperor's will made manifest, has stabilized parts of the Imperium. The question everyone's asking, is the Emperor's consciousness still intact after 10 millennia of suffering? Is he still the rational being who started the Imperium? Or has he become something else entirely? Perhaps something that would horrify the man he once was? The Emperor of Mankind represents the ultimate tragic figure of Warhammer 40K. A being who sought to elevate humanity, through reason became a god worshipped through faith. A father who created sons to save humanity watched half of them turn traitor and kill the other half. A visionary who dreamed of freeing humanity from a warp now exists only because he's chained to a machine that channels the warp's power. His story embodies the core themes of 40K. Good intentions corrupted by necessity, hope turning to despair, and the price of survival in an uncaring universe. Every Space Marine chapter, every Imperial citizen, every war fought across the stars traces back to his decisions, both brilliant and catastrophic. The Emperor is humanity's greatest achievement, and its most terrible warning. He shows us that even godlike power, even the best intentions, even perfect knowledge cannot guarantee victory against the darkness. Sometimes the price of survival is becoming the very thing you fought against. Whether he's dying, transforming, or somehow still fighting with a consciousness spread across 10,000 years of torture, one thing remains certain. Without him, the Imperium ends. With him, it suffers. The God Emperor of Mankind isn't just a setting central figure. He's the perfect embodiment of grimdark itself. There's only war, and even gods can fall. What happens when the Golden Throne finally fails? We'll explore that in our next video on the theories surrounding the Emperor's death and potential rebirth. Until then, subscribe for more deep dives into Warhammer 40K lore, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.